Thank you. Pledge allegiance.
Which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi, everybody. I just have a few bullet points I really want to address for your consideration regarding health and safety, specifically regarding speed and volume of our pedestrian and bicycle traffic. So Inlet Godwin Shoreline is a raceway. It's still a raceway. I know that the speed limit is 25 and that the police officer's courtesy 5 over, but as addressed in previous, maybe a year or two, that speed is too high for the volume of traffic, of pedestrians and bicycles and all of that that happens now. And we have actually been very busy like summer for quite a couple of weeks now. So it's the safety of everybody who's walking there. In addition, Ocean Boulevard now has become a cut through. And so because they know the speed traps are out on Anderson, you can see a high volume of traffic going down Ocean at a high rate of speed. And they have the same issues with a lot of pedestrians and families out enjoying the summer like days that we're having. Garbage. So garbage cans at the south end lot, we need to look at the process for removing that garbage over weekends because they're full. So that's one thing that needs some consideration, how that's going to be addressed. Because people want to put the garbage in the garbage can, and when they're full, they put this everywhere else. And then we get wind and it's all over. The second issue in the south end parking lot, and I was hoping Tom would be here to tell him personally, is the back cans. And anybody who goes through there right at the paved area where the stones end, that needs to be wheeled out of the parking lot for the garbage men to pick it up. They don't go in that parking lot. So the cans, they move the front ones out in the cul-de-sac, but that back one has been forgotten a couple times, and it's currently full, and the goodness is right of way parking. So consideration regarding non-DOT streets and how we allow or don't allow right of way parking. We had a situation at the south end. Thank you, Frank, for getting that sign back up for us. But a lot of right of way parking. They're tearing up the edges of the road, and everybody who drives through knows that. Also a consideration regarding an ordinance that would allow to do something with vehicles parked on private property. We had a large escalation of that, people parking in people's driveways. We had an incident where they actually pulled up onto the landscaping on private property where the palm tree is and ran tire tracks right up it and parked, and there was nothing that could be done about that. Crosswalks, again, we have pedestrians crossing every which way, also the side streets. Consider at least at every beach access, at least one of the corners, there is an access. And then, for our police officer friends, making sure that we have a way to protect the pedestrians that are going across, because people don't stop for them. I don't know if you experienced it yourself. And then last two things. One is the leash law. So I personally have had 5 separate dog attacks, one of which resulted in an injury last May to both myself and my dog. And there's an increased number of people who have dogs off leash and not under voice control. And sometimes that's the stipulation, but they're not on either voice control or on leashes, and they're charging people and attacking me and my dog personally. And also just, I know you're talking the MOU regarding the preserve, but people are setting up their tents and their barbecues and everything right in the dunes. They let their children run on those dunes. And there's a large number of hikers I've seen actually in the last 2 weeks, groups of people cutting across the interior of the lot. I don't know where exactly they're getting in there, but I can see them from my porch just going across. So that was all I have. Thank you for your time and attention. Michelle Rivas, Council President, and President. And thank you for the opportunity to comment on the proposed memorandum of understanding. Dedicated group of volunteer beach stewards who help educate visitors and support the stewardship of the preserve. We appreciate the work that has gone into this agreement and shares the goal of protecting the special natural area and wildlife habitat. We extend our appreciation and gratitude to the town once again for all you've done to make this preserve a dream come true for our. So I have just 3 brief comments for your consideration. First, regarding the dog leash requirements. Joanne, for your comments. Section A1A references the town ordinance that regulates dogs on the preserve. As written, the leash requirement begins May 15th at some areas, but April 1st in the CBRF zone. Actually looked up what that was, where the lot line was, and most of the preserve appears to be within. Thank you for seeing within the CBRF zone. I'm reading that correctly. So we recommend you use a consistent April 1 start date throughout the preserve. That date also aligns with the beginning of bird nesting. So it serves both purposes. The current side, south side entrance to the south side beach still references May 15th. And we think that's very confusing for residents, for visitors and volunteer stewards. So consistent dates and signage of April 1st would make the rules easier to understand and follow. Won't necessarily take care of the dogs off leash that arrive by walkers and by boats, but at least we would have some consistent ordinances around. Second, we recommend that you strengthen the dune protection measures in the MOU. Not actually seeing where those are stated, but as Ann mentioned, we continue to see people walking on or through the dunes. Some visitors appear to believe there is a trail through the preserve. I've had people say that to me. They're looking at their phones and they see a trail. I don't know if that's because state officials and others have a designated path through the preserve for monitoring. But anyway, we suggest that you add language to the MOU that clearly prohibits trespassing on or through the dunes, similar to the MOU line action around no trespassing protection for the bird nesting area. So similar, no trespassing in or on or through the dune. We also encourage you to install additional keep off the dune signs. There are none in the preserve. We'd like to see those signs with the fines, both along the ocean and sound side system. Similar signage has worked well in other areas of Topsail Island and Topsail Beach. We had them up last year from Coastal Land Trust, but there are none now. We think it's at minimum an important education tool for the public and would give the officials of the town something to enforce. Finally, we wonder how we can best and inform the town about any concerns the stewards have. Of course, we call you in an emergency, but volunteer beach stewards are on preserve almost every day to educate the public about why these ordinances are important and how everyone can help protect the preserve. We often observe issues that need attention, particularly during the weekends, on holidays, and busy summer season. We're not sure necessarily who those concerns should go to and when. So the MOU indicates that the stewards report to the Division of Coastal Management. That is not something we've heard yet from DCM, but that's what the MOU states. We report and relate to the Coastal Land Trust. So we believe it would be beneficial to establish a regular communication process with the town as well as DCM. Protecting the preserving of the shared community responsibility. And I think strong communication can help us all work together more effectively. So thank you for your time, your service to the community, and your commitment to protecting the Topsail Nature Preserve. The dream comes true, and we appreciate your consideration of our comments tonight. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Great. Thank you for giving her the caterpillars in the parking lot. That looks great too. Thank you for that. And I'm super excited for this item on here. I think that's one nice. I'm say catchy, what I like to.
On, Bonnie Winsett, she had some concerns about those, the number of, just parking permits that she was allowed to, receive. She's got more family members and it's very difficult to be shifting, find out how you, they could even shift tags. So that's a concern that we all have. Sort of, but we need to get through the season and see how it's gonna work. We can change it, right? Making progress on it, right now we'll have the tag system. That will be there in two directions. Any other comment? Then, five moments, we have one of our special critical 3 years of service. That's how clients are right there. I don't know what the budget's gonna end up. There's your state issue, it's the county issue, nobody did it mine. The county's been having to really and trying to approach those. Done a yeoman's job. Getting there. We need to approve the regular agenda, but I have a couple of things I'd like to add. The memorandum of agreement for parking, not parking, but for parking control. Yeah. And I'd like to set that at 11 days. And if you've not seen that, the board has got it. Is that the parking or? Yes, yeah.
Correct.
So it's something that we just got, we start to get numbers on it, and we just need to, put it out so everybody talk about it. The next is on item 14A. I'd like to pull that off and discuss that at a meeting that we'll have on the 17th of the month. Be further discussion on that clarification, among other things that will be at that meeting. We'll start that meeting this week.
Is it possible to move forward with the other two?
Yeah.
Only remove the one proposed text amendment regarding Irene. Keep the other one on.
Concerns for me?
Just that.
Yeah. Think that motion again.
I move we accept it as printed.
Second, I see. Pushing the second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so hearing, text amendment from the planning board.
The planning board sent you guys,
And then you guys sent back to them with recommendations to remove, section 53A10. Let me read what we're removing. If, we are removing from, over the planning board, section 810. Review with the town manager and other town officials and report as recommendations to the board of commissioners upon the extent, location, and design of all public structures and facilities, on the acquisition and disposal of public property, and on the establishment of building lines, map street lines, and proposals to change existing street lines. However, in the absence of a recommendation from the planning board, the board of commissioners may, if it deems wise, after the expiration of 30 days from the date on which the question has been submitted in writing to the planning board for review and recommendation, or 30 days prior to any deadline stipulated by the board of commissioners, take final action.
Any? Comments?
Make a motion
Well,
with
it's subject for the public hearing, so any comment from the audience? Questions, or can they, an explanation?
In layman's terms, what are you doing?
This is actually a text amendment that was recommended by Wes several years ago when and we kept it at that time, but there's a conflict with it, with the actual powers of the planning board, because they make the final decision on major site plans. So they conflict with each other with the powers of the planning board, because it basically says the planning board has to send it to the commissioners, but they also have the power to adopt it. So it clears up that discrepancy.
Thank you.
Later in the agenda for approval. Hearing no more discussions, let's close that part of the public hearing. For the main event, public hearing for budget.
Here for the main event.
Okay.
Well, as you know, I don't have to say it, this was a difficult year with the, Pender County reevaluation and going back and forth. And, as the mayor mentioned, there were 2, 3, 4 different budgets that we created and, but took a lot of hard work. And I just, this is a process that we start very early in the year, even in the end of December, beginning of January, with department head, starting to gather their numbers together, going ahead and working with, Connie and myself. Then we of course have the board retreat at the end of January, beginning of February, which sort of kicks off the season. So from that point on, it's rolling, and we had 4 budget workshops this year. So as you can imagine, it's just been a lot of work. And typically the town manager would make a presentation on the budget, but I think you all know who did the work on this. So I'm going to hand it on over to Connie, and she will run the show. Great as everyone.
Okay, as we have our little slide show for you, PowerPoint, like, kind of follow along. This year, our total budget totals $20,204,102.72. That takes in the general fund, BIS fund, the CIP fund, and our utility enterprise fund. And you can see how it's broken down. We're going over, and we have a proposed tax rate. Last year, our value for taxes was at $764,938,165, and that's the numbers that you see on the left-hand side. This year, the proposed value for taxes is $1,631,140,040, and that's the numbers that you see on the right side. These numbers are put together as revenue neutral tax, $22.65 per hundred. It's based upon 95% collection. We go on, we're going to tell you a little bit what our budget includes. We have a beach nourishment funding, our capital improvement projects funding, our storm tidal flooding project funding, which we also call water management, our departmental equipment needs, our 3% cost of living adjustment. We have up to a 3% merit for qualifying staff. One additional new firefighter position, public works position reclassified, new playground equipment, public safety building, possible loan if we need it, and rollback service have included. That is going to be throughout the year. And the new IADA compliant website. We also have street and sidewalk improvements. We put $100,000 in there for street and sidewalk improvements. As you go on over, you can see that the property tax makes up the majority of our revenue at 38%. We have our other taxes, which can include your capital, your cable, your utilities franchise, your option 4 sale, and also the sales and use tax. That's at 22%. Our permits and fees, that's based upon your parking fees, your building permit fees, any other fees that we have. Then grants, any other grants that we have, that's also shown as a revenue in your budget, which offsets on the other side of expenditure. We have restricted revenue under Powell bill. This year in Powell bill fund, at the end of this June, we will have $78,752. We have capital reserve. Each year we try to put aside around 500,000 or so if we can. This year we've not done that. We've had quite a few things going on with our public safety building and trying to figure out what we need to do and where things need to be. But this year in capital reserve, we were able to take out 401,652.08. A good portion of that was for the $200,000 replacement for our playground equipment, which we're very proud of. We know that it's needed and the board saw that need and we have taken care of that. We also have other departmental needs, which is our various equipment, such as our vehicles. We have a rotating basis on that. Things that the fire department needs, things that the public works need. This year we're looking to get the Bobcat, mini Bobcat. That's going to help with our toolcat from Rocat. Anyway, we were looking to be able to help like with our sidewalks and these streets down here in our commercial area. A lot of the stones and things like that, so that's going to help that as well as many other things. So we're excited about that also. We'll have new vehicles for our police department in the rotation basis again, and we'll also have a new public works vehicle that's needed. We're phasing out a 2002 Dodge, I believe it is. Fund expenditures. As you can see, we have our dollar bill here, and it's based upon the different things that we have. Our administration is 21.4. Our police department represents 24%. Our fire department is 18.7. Our public works is 13.9. Solid waste is 7.6. Our inspections and planning is 4.6. Beach management tourism is 8. And our bush marina is 1.8. Move on over, you see our the graph for our budget expenditures. Of course, 41% represents our 50% represents our operating expense. The 41% represents our personnel, and the 7% represents our capital outlay. And then we have our debt service is only at 2%. The 2% for the debt service represents the new public safety building lots, which is right up the street there. And we will be, paying on that. It's about $100,000 for in our debt service for this year for that. The BIS fund this year, we do not have our project yet for that. As far as it's not time for us to have a big project yet, but we have also in our BIS, we're moving forward with our 30-year permit. We're also have increased our parking fees that we built into the BIS fund. I like on that one. Our 30-year beach management plan has been approved by the CRC, so we're ready to move with that.
Long-term permit.
Yes. Our utilities enterprise fund, we were glad to report, we have not had any increase in that this year. We look at that every year and we'll be looking again. Have a basis that which we base that on. So it's possible that could go. We have we have an elevated tank, maintenance agreement, and that's in there. And we also have we have our smart meters grant. That was $1,070,000 that we were able to get for that. And, we're going to be having a maintenance agreement along with that to keep making sure that those things are maintained correctly. In the, CIP fund, our capital improvement project fund, we have, money set aside for, the replacement of fire hydrants. That's our 10-year, service of thing that we're trying to do. And, we have that in there this year. We also have $90,000 in there for the water management. That's the flooding, the tidal flooding. And, we also have, as we stated before, monies that we will be able to possibly obtain a loan for our public safety building if needed. In our public works department, we have our seasonal beach personnel people. The rollback comes in there. That's through the public works. We also have for our beach access maintenance crossovers. That's in our general fund this year. That was removed from the beach inlet and sound fund. We thought that that would be a better place for that. We're very proud to announce we're going to be updating our website and it's going to be ADA compliant. And we're real excited about that. This past year, we were able to start implementing our advanced permitting program. That is online now. You can go online and get your permits, and Stephanie's doing a wonderful job with that. It seems to be working real well. We had to get some kinks out of it, and we're still working some kinks out of it, but that's another thing that we're proud of. Also getting our town hall renovated, and we're proud of that. We have used some new heating in there units that was very much needed. We're getting ready to get some new windows, a new roof that's very much needed, shingles, and so we're looking forward to that. We're even going to get us a little area where we can have a microwave and where we can actually have a table. We can sit down and eat. But we're excited about that, and we thank the board for doing that for us. I think I probably talked to somebody. If somebody has questions.
As you can tell, there's a lot in that budget, for a revenue neutral budget. I think that's where all that hard work came in. Not only from Connie, obviously from the board.
Yeah.
They did a lot of work on this, as well as department heads, and a special thanks to Rochelle, because she always ties everything up so nicely and always makes pretty graphs. So.
Yeah. And also Rose Patch. But she's a better name wrong. But we appreciate Rose too. Rose does a lot of hard work with this too. It's not just one person, it's a team. It's a team. We have a good team.
Okay, great. I don't know how you do it. 20 years of doing that. Any questions from the board?
Revenue neutral mean no tax increase.
That's what it means, yes, sir.
Thank you. Put up for discussion. Anyone?
Ross Dinkle.
Okay, well.
Ross Sninkle, 1701 South Anderson Boulevard. Well, first of all, thank you for putting that. You all know my background, my history, and my public service. Thank you for putting that firefighter position in, but don't forget we're a position behind based upon the fire department staffing study. This current fiscal year, the position was cut, so we are actually one behind where we should be. That's the discussion for another night. Tonight, I just want to take a minute to talk about the fire department's capital budget request, and then following up on that a little bit about the budget development and ratification. I'd like to ask the town staff and board to consider funding several of fiscal year 26-27 fire department capital requests that were cut from the proposed budget. I had the opportunity to look at the fire department capital budget request item. In my professional opinion, all the requested items certainly are needed requests and either maintain current levels of readiness and service capabilities, improve service capabilities, or add a level of safety for either the firefighters or the public. All three of these are valid reasons to include the requested items in a capital budget request. On the flip side, the board's goal of keeping budget revenue neutral year over year is also a valid method of being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. These two competing philosophies, the need for capital items and keeping the budget revenue neutral, must be weighed against each other while ensuring that the needs of the citizens are met. When I look at these capital requests individually, I see must-have items, which are needed to continue service. I see need-to-have items, which include items that improve safety, and nice-to-have items, things that we can live without, but be good to have to make things better. The original fire department capital request list consisted of 15 items. The final list has been cut to 6 items. On the final list, I see what appear to be only the must-have items. The need-to-have and the nice-to-have items have been cut. I agree that not all the items that were cut need to be funded. However, when I look at the items that were cut from the fire department capital request, I see 3 items that fall into the need-to-have category. I believe that all 3 need to be reinstated and funded. They are the rescue stokes at a cost of $1,464. The jet ski collar at a cost of $3,750. And finally, the forcible entry cutter at a cost of $12,359. Why these 3? Rescue stokes. I only know the stokes basket. Yes, the fire department has something that is similar, a backboard, which is probably why the rescue stokes was cut. Bottom line, a stokes basket is a much more versatile patient carrying device. It's much safer than a backboard for both the patient and the firefighters carrying it. It can be used in ways that a backboard cannot and provides first responders with alternative patient lifting and lowering capabilities that cannot be done safely with a backboard. Jet ski collar. Yes, the fire department has a jet ski. Yes, the fire department can make rescues. Having a jet ski collar will make those rescues safer for both the jet ski operator and the patient. We are a waterfront community. We need to be as prepared as we can to safely operate in it. The forcible entry cover. Yes, it's costly. Yes, Surf City will bring one. When or if they get here. Will it already be too late? I've said it before. I'll say it many more times till y'all listen. Topsail Beach needs to be prepared to operate on its own for extended periods of time due to our physical location on the island. We are here by ourselves. We cannot rely on our mutual aid partners to bring life-saving tools and equipment in a timely manner. We cannot sacrifice public safety with a Pollyanna view that we have not needed some piece of equipment before or some life-threatening scenario has not happened before. So we don't need it, won't happen. In summary, the Topsail Beach Fire Department needs to have a bare minimum of tools, equipment, and staffing to ensure that we at least have a fighting chance in an emergency. My request does not ask the fully fund the fire department's capital request, only 3 additional items. Will help move us towards the goal of being better equipped to handle any emergency. My piece of that. Now, real quick, briefly on the budget development process. Looking at the agenda tonight, it looks like we're having a public hearing and public comments and voting on the budget all in one night. I think that process is a little skewed. I'd like perhaps you to consider changing town code, pass legislation that you publish a final proposed budget on May 1st. Then have a public hearing 2 weeks later in the middle of May, because the public has 2 weeks to look at the budget online, come back here, have your hearing, take public comments, and then vote on the budget 2 weeks later in June. That way the whole process is fluid, everybody knows what's happening, and it gives time for everybody to say yes. I'm not really sure me standing up here tonight talking has any effect, because you're gonna vote on it tonight unless you cancel tonight's vote and come back together as a group and talk about what I said. I'm not sure that's gonna happen. And that's not fair to us, to me, to the public, to make public comments and you not at least think about them and or debate them. Thank you.
Just for clarification, we did have a series of workshops. Well advertised. That's where we worked out these items.
Absolutely, but the town website, this final proposed budget wasn't posted till June 2nd. After the May meeting. So this is my first opportunity to speak to what you are proposing to vote on tonight.
And we may not vote. We may delay.
That's fine. I understand that. I understand that.
It's up to the board, but
But I'd like to see it codified where May 1st is posted, give us 2 weeks to digest it, and come back. Yeah, then you do this meeting 2 weeks later, and then you have 2 weeks before you actually come back and vote.
Staff will take it under advisement.
Thanks, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Speaking of, jail, we fought this budget and it's lean. It's not much room to play around if we have an undue expense that we have, we're gonna be looking hard. So, we kept it down so there's no tax increase, and I think that's what everybody wants at this time. We're still unsure what the county's gonna do, and we've got preparing each time. Okay. No more comments?
People make comments about the revaluation issue, or people can see some numbers they don't know.
Yeah, everybody's got their, evaluation, and some people are challenging it, some people are not. So it's a matter of, the county sets that. We have nothing to do with it, but we're having to respond to it. So that's why we have a low tax rate now compared to, proposing a low tax rate because it takes in consideration of evaluation. If the county says, no, we're gonna hold it for next year, we're back to where we were this year with a little bit higher number, but we're not changing the volume of money coming in. We're not, adding more to your bills. So we can just stay at even level. So, but we won't know that answer, and we may have to come back at a meeting and modify our, any action we take if we have new numbers. That'd work.
The latest, the House has passed it,
Yeah, it's in the Senate.
and it's in the Senate, and then has to go to the governor. The budget has to be published by June 30th, so
Yeah.
it's tight.
Go up there,
Yeah, they'll come up here that way.
just have a question.
From what I understand, the total valuation of the properties in our town went up, what, about 110%? Is that correct?
I can average somewhere around 114%.
Right, 114. What was the valuation for how much did it go up for the whole county? Anybody know that?
Don't know. I'm from hearsay. I've seen where there's a lot of people complaining. So it's going up a lot.
Yeah.
I've heard some, some hard stuff.
But I mean, it's considerably more than ours, I think, right?
I don't know.
Thank you.
If I see where you're headed.
One thing that, even though we're revenue neutral, because of the reappraisal values, some people went up more than others, so you may still be paying more taxes. Or what you paid last year, and some people may be paying less taxes because of the value of their homes.
Right.
I mean, if it's going on with revenue neutral, doesn't mean you're not paying more taxes, or you may be lucky enough to pay less taxes.
No questions? Okay, let's close that public hearing on that part. Move on to, number 10, Parks and Recreation Board.
All right, Miss Cynthia Averett was not able to be here tonight, but she did send in a short report that I'd like to read. They last met in June and they reviewed the proposed 26-27 Parks and Recreation budget, also presented by our Connie Florans. And the board appreciates the Parks and Recreation Board appreciates the Board of Commissioners' continued support and appropriations that are included in the budget, mainly for the replacement of the playground equipment. Board is moving forward with the selection of replacement playground equipment and will keep the commissioners apprised of our progress. The board continued its review of a proposal initially presented by town residents in April to add a third pickleball court to the park. At the June meeting, the interested parties presented a revised proposal, which the board will continue to evaluate and discuss. The board unanimously recommended that the town recognize the 25th anniversary of September 11th, 2001. The board envisions a walk of remembrance to coincide with the time that the first tower was struck, along with the recognition of the town's first responders. Planning for this commemorative event will continue at the board's August meeting. They will not be meeting in July. There's too many people that will be out for the holiday. So they won't be having a Parks and Recreation meeting for July. They will pick that back up in August. Questions?
Question? Move on to, item 11. There was no, meeting was canceled, but we have 11A. And go ahead.
I think I'm gonna do it my best. And I apologize that, this is kind of was all thrown together at sort of last minute, but, this has been something that came up recently and, right prior to Memorial Day, as we all have experienced the traffic situation that, the bottlenecking that's caused, some residents 2 or 3 hours to get on and off the island at any given time, certainly on the weekends. So, this has been a point of discussion between some members of the board, some residents, myself. We've also joined forces with the town of Surf City, who obviously are in the same situation. So, myself and town manager for Surf City, Kyle Brewer, we've been in communication with DOT regarding the issue. And although they're very open to discussion and trying to figure out a solution, we're kind of right in the thick of things with the summer here and on us. So, place about how maybe we could handle it for at least this summer while we're in this sort of crisis mode. And then maybe, based on what results we might see this summer, maybe do a more formal approach for next season and have something a little bit better planned. So the thought process was to maybe hire a traffic control company to specifically control the traffic at the intersection of 210 and 50, where the CVS is. And maybe try to get that traffic flowing a little better instead of relying on the signals that seem to be a little mistimed. So anyway, so we, Kyle did a lot of the legwork, the town manager for Surf City, so I appreciate that. He met with 2 different companies, to talk with them about what we were looking for and give them a little bit of a scope. And the idea is to have, traffic control there on the weekends only, Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 5. And also the Friday before July 4th and the Friday before Labor Day. And to continue this, Labor Day, continue this until Labor Day. We do have some preliminary numbers, based on what he's been able to find so far. In order to do it from here until Labor Day at just the intersection of the CVS, we're looking at about $80,000. The idea would be to split that cost with the town of Surf City. And so the town of Topsail Beach would be looking at approximately $40,000 for that traffic control service. One of the traffic control companies felt that in addition to the CVS light, we would probably need traffic control also at the light further down where the Lion and the Go Gas is in order to really make this work and feel an impact and see an impact. And so if that were to be the case, if we were to do traffic control at both of those intersections, the cost would be about $135,000 total. Again, Topsail Beach splitting that, with the town of Surf City. So, the board was, sent a draft, MOU, agreement with the town of Surf City that I'm hoping that maybe you've had a chance to sort of review it and maybe get some feedback on. And obviously now knowing the numbers, this will be mostly a conversation tonight. I don't expect for a vote to happen tonight, but I would definitely like to get your feedback and what you'd like to see, not see, those types. And I'll answer any questions I can.
Why would be 50-50 when the city is a lot much larger than Topsail Beach?
Yeah, I have some numbers Joe, I get that same concern. Topsail Beach has 500 year-round residents. They have about 5,000 year-round residents. They have we have about 1,400 residential units. They have about 4,500 residential units. We have about 200 parking places. They have about 800 parking places. I think a fair split was probably 3-to-1 or something, 75-25 as opposed to 50-50. Just my quick thought after reading through the MOU today. I've heard some discussion about including North Topsail or even Pender County. I don't know that North Topsail adds that much, but Pender County, because of what's going on in Holly Ridge and Hampstead, it could make sense to ask them to contribute as well.
And that was discussed between myself and Kyle, already about potentially, not North Topsail, we didn't discuss North Topsail, but we did discuss potentially having Pender County as well as Holly Ridge, contribute into this. And truthfully, I think, because we're sort of behind the 8 ball this season, we felt it would be a hard sell. They've already pretty much got their budget finished, and that would be difficult this year based on, I guess, the results of what we see this year. If we want to continue it, we would plan to approach both Pender County and the town of Holly Ridge, to contribute for next season, should we get that far.
I'm concerned about the hours. I don't think the hours are correct. The hours proposed are 9 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. And they're, to quote one of my neighbors, they're pinch point places and they're pinch point times. And we've got data showing the bad times. My gut is we need them on Friday, 4 to probably 6, because that's when it's a pretty day, people are coming on, or it's a pretty day, people are leaving. I think staff down here has experienced trying to leave on a Friday. It just been horrible. I think on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the hours I think are between 10 and 12 or 11 and 1, and again 4 to 6. So it's not a 9 to 5 business workday. There are, and we can get data. I think residents have some data. Kyle's got some data. Narrow it down to specific times. I don't know if the provider would be willing to do that. I would assume the same person ain't gonna do the whole day.
Yeah, I don't know if they're willing to do that either, and not necessarily that the same person's gonna be there the whole day. They do, this would actually provide a team of 5. But they do have to, put up all the signage and kind of mobilize and demobilize. So I don't know that the break in the times would be acceptable, but again, that's exactly what I want to hear tonight, or what your ideas and thoughts are, so that we could go back to, the drawing board.
I want to commend you and Kyle for thinking outside the box and bringing great ideas that hopefully the rubber can meet the road this summer. What I've experienced with new ideas, new projects, new processes in business is that the first year you make mistakes, you probably spend too much money, but you figure that out hopefully in the second year, in the third year, and you refine the process or the project. You get the budget line and you get better. This is a quality of life issue for everyone. And it's one of those, I don't know what they call it in Washington DC these days, but it's a hot topic, and everyone wants to see some action on this issue. So thank you. Thank you.
I agree with John. I don't know, because Kyle hasn't gotten the final report what the temporary light did. That was for us at no cost, for them at no cost. So, maybe some hybrid. I don't know that it makes sense to start off with having an officer at both of the lights. My preference would be to try the CBS Publix light, make sure we've got the right hours, and see, does that make a difference? I think with that data, we would know fairly quickly. Do we need is it critical that we add someone at the other lot?
I think that's a good.
Or is there a way to use the person at the primary CVS light to create gaps to alleviate the problems at the other lights?
That's a good observation. And also, another thing is, you know, what if it doesn't work? What if we put it out there and we really don't see the relief that we were hoping to see? Doesn't make that much of a difference. My question was, you know, can we kind of back out of this at any time? You know, try it maybe until July 4th
30
and
days.
see what happens. So that was kind of my thought.
And I think we need to figure out before we do this, and I agree with that, it calls for a 30-day cancellation. What are our metrics for measuring success? Is what do we need to see to say, yes, this is making a difference? And I think Kyle may have some data on, we've got it, I looked all over the holiday weekend at how long it took from here to Holly Ridge and from Holly Ridge to here. And the peak was over an hour to Holly Ridge. And then something like an hour and 40 minutes from Holly Ridge to here. So we need to come up with something to be able to say, let's look at it in 30 days and say, here was our threshold. This has made a difference. John said it's a quality of life issue. I think it's a severe safety issue as well. We had one of our part-time residents went to AFib and it took him 3 hours to get to the hospital. And I don't want to wait until somebody dies and they can't get off the island in a timely manner.
Time is short. I'm not certain how much micromanaging of the overall project we'll be able to affect in a short period of time. I would keep in mind that Kyle has talked to 2 DOT certified teams that this is what they do for a living. So I'm going to guess that they'll have reports to show their success or failure, those kind of things. All great points. But I'm not sure how much we may be able to micromanage their project, their process, you know, this year. That would just be my
I
opinion.
think Kyle and Christina will be able to come to, doesn't have to be precise. How do we know, just as they did on the light up there, how do we know this is helping?
Yes, and to your point too, Kyle has a ton of data. So, again, he's sort of been the main lead. He spoke with the contractors, specifically, and passed it on to me. He knows what we need. He knows where the pinch points are. He knows the times of day. And it's possible that, you know, there's a little gap or a lull and maybe doesn't, you know, isn't really as busy as the rest. But again, I don't know that we'd be able to the gap and have them coming and going and setting up and demobilizing. And maybe that's why it's a 9 to 5.
But I don't think we needed it.
Yeah.
I really don't. Although,
Well, remember, it's also mobilizing, so it might take them some time to actually set up. They may not begin traffic control until 10 a.m. I don't know what their setup time is, but the hours that they will be on site would be 9 to 5. It could be
I also think we
potentially
need
10 to 4.
yeah, push back
Mhm.
on the 50/50s. We need to fund, but we have, because of parking and residents, a limited number that are gonna come to this end versus what Surf City has coming in.
I would even argue that I'm not sure we contributed to the increase in traffic because we haven't really grown and we haven't added parking.
I would say it doesn't matter. It's impacting us and we're
It,
landlocked.
it does, but
Well, also we got rental. And you can't equate living, full-time residents with rentals. Rentals are the ones that keep us alive.
absolutely. I guess I would argue that they've added a lot of housing and those people are coming for the day. And that's where most of the increase
Oh, it is, it's
has
interesting.
occurred.
Keep in mind the limited parking that we have. It's not, word's gotten out, get here early or you don't find a spot. And once you find that slot, you don't leave it. And so it's time wise, it may be that people are gonna start coming earlier so they can get a slot here. And it's gonna increase that traffic on the road coming in. I was at the other, I think I had an appointment, it was before 9 o'clock, and I was 2 lights. That was on a Wednesday. Yeah. Well, it's the start of it. July 4th, we gotta do something. July 4th.
I gotta tell you, I'm supportive of action that Nancy and John are trying to take us in to step into this cautiously. But I just came out of the public safety building experience where we sweated drive to take out $100,000 and $50,000 and then $10,000 to get down to the 9.6. We made it, but it was painful. And we need to be very, very careful with that money. This is an expensive thing we're going into. But, I'd say let's take a chance.
You can hear it from the public even.
Yeah, this is a discussion and we got it late.
Yeah, they,
And,
I'll say.
yeah,
Has anybody given any data about whether what they've already done is working?
We do have the data, and
Is it working?
yes, the light at the bridge is working.
It seems to me like it is, that's why.
It is helping in the roundabout section. So again, Kyle has a lot of data of how long it might take from Topsail Beach down to the roundabout on any given day. He has prior data and then the data with the light. So it is working. That is, but that hasn't addressed the causeway kind of issue there where that's backed up.
121 Shoreline Drive. Number one, get rid of the circles. That's your biggest three. Number two, have we spoken to the police department in Surf City? I remember back in the day, they put an officer there, directed traffic, we could not have a problem. Why are we gonna spend $180,000 when we have active police? That's their job.
yeah, we mentioned that to Kyle and Kyle said, he couldn't spare the people there.
Let me tell you.
I'm just saying.
I would rather pay them overtime and have a professional outfit bringing.
Well, I would just have to
I'm
ask,
sure a Topsail Beach police officer get paid extra would help out with that extra. I never saw the problem all the years when that Surf City police officer was there directing traffic. You're not gonna clear up the whole problem, can't do it. Volume's too great. And we're just flushing more money down the toilet. Like John said, you great save money, now we're gonna take it, throw it out on this. I think it's a waste of money. You're not gonna solve the problem.
Stephen, didn't the DOT tell us in the meeting that we had with them that because it's a DOT light, that Surf City couldn't have control of the light or impact it without having a DOT approved provider? Isn't that why
we do have to have a DOT pre-approved provider. We can have police officers there if we get a special event permit from DOT, which can take quite a while. But truly, whether you like it or not, Surf City does not have the resources to provide that kind of service throughout the entire summer. The manpower is one. Also, they feel that, they would be fatigued by the end of the summer because they're still working their regular job as well. And they would expect for our officers to also be in there controlling that as well. And our department is smaller than theirs. So it really just didn't seem to be, that was not an option for us at this time.
But that means by taxes go up, you're fine. Ridiculous.
I remember as well, helping people get on and off. I realize that that's not a good option now. I get that. I was opposed to that stupid light. I think that light is insane, that it doesn't
It's a dead stop. I don't understand the dead stop. I think it should pause people and get fun, but like they do in California, they got more cars than we do, so. To me, it seems like a DOT issue. They don't have those lights sequenced correctly. That's their problem. They need to come and fix it. And we should stand on their heads until they do. So I disagree with paying for a firm as well. I think DOT needs to fix it. And I think we need to be on them until they do. And I've sat there 3 hours on a Wednesday, so I get it. But I don't think that's a good use of my money.
Alright, like Sharon, part of the being under my bonnet, we've been talking about this for over a year. But thank you first, for there were 3 kind of perception issues. One was the trash can pushback. Thank you very much. You got that solved. The other one, mowing the lot beside the gift basket and making town move it. Thank you very much. Because they're done. It's traffic is a service. Traffic. All right, I'm gonna ask a serious question. How many of you in this room, raise your hand, have been caught in traffic issues in Surf City coming north? Keep your hand up. All right. How many have been late for critical? Keep your hand up. How many critical appointments you get to the airport or doctors? Keep your hand up. How many of you have been vendors coming to your house that have not been able to get there? How many of you have family members that don't want to come to the beach because of traffic issues? How many of you have been released from work early because you wanted to avoid traffic issues? Many have not been affected by traffic issues. We have a unique opportunity to get involved with Surf City. And I don't know, everybody's got good points around this. I don't think the money funding is correct. But I've had the opportunity to talk to Kyle, had the opportunity to talk to Christina. They want to help. DOT should help. DOT is not going to help until somebody yanks their chain at the level of our DOT political representative, who's an attorney down in Wilmington. Until that happens, I was talking to Kyle and others, and I said, all these grandiose plans about redoing the roundabout, having more intersections, having different roads coming through. I said, that's great. What are we going to do Saturday? That's the problem. We've got issues here of traffic backlogs, and suppose we have to throw some money at fixing the problem. We got a unique opportunity to do it with Surf City. And over time, if it's done correctly, the right answer will surface. Like John said, we might not get it right first time, but we're hostage down here, folks. We have no way to get off this island. We have no way for customers to come to this island, no way for renters and families to come to this island. I've heard staff say they don't come to the island on weekends. That's an indictment. We need to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. So I'm encouraging you all to put a set amount of money, try to be proactive, get a seat at the table to fix the answer if you got money in the game. Put some money in the game. Let's get this thing fixed. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better, and it ain't going to solve itself. Thank you.
Frank, who is the attorney in Wilmington you were talking about?
Yeah,
He's Landon Zimmer.
Yeah.
Right,
Correct.
our board.
You probably know him.
I do.
And you probably get their attention.
I do.
So that's what we got to have, because the folks at the DOT don't live here, they don't come here, they don't really care about what goes on here. So at some point, DOT does need to help us. But what are we gonna do Saturday? July 4th, 24 days away. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna get your family here? How are you gonna get them all? Be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. That's my point.
Mr. Sharon, you're on the road a lot because you're still working. What are the hours that you see if we're gonna address it?
I don't know. I'm a ways. You all have ways.
Yes.
You all look at it, pop, see what's going on. I can do it Sunday. You'll figure out where the problems are with picture. It ain't rocket science. Big part of the problem is Saturday morning. People are coming here, the day trippers and the renters are trying to get here, and then Saturday afternoon, and everybody's leaving at the same time. Now, whether or not they got to mobilize, I don't know.
What about Fridays?
Fridays are a problem. Or Friday's a problem getting off the island, ladies?
Yes, they are.
I try not to go anymore. I've got customers that want to buy property and will come down here because they can't get here. And I'm sure that's affecting the commerce down here too. Like food and ice cream and eating. Anyway, I don't know when the hours are. That's not, I just know it's a problem. I just know we're bleeding. We're gonna fix it or we're gonna just bleed to death and sit here and not do anything about it. So I commend you for the opportunity. I commend Kyle and Christina for getting an answer. Don't stop until we fix the problem. Please.
You are correct that DOT doesn't typically come down here, but when we have meetings set with them, we strategically plan them for Friday, late in the day.
You're talking about the other things, that's not my department.
Please don't let it rain during the day. Everybody.
So Ann Pizzi, 2121 Shoreline Drive, and I'm the first one to tell you, I'm 47 years retired from healthcare, which is an environment that squashes new ideas as soon as they come out because we don't want to try anything different. I'm not opposed to new ideas, but I also am familiar, as many of you probably are, with the theory of constraints. And so we have 2 lanes of traffic going each direction on 17 with cars, right, coming here. They dump into single lane roads. People who know that there's a different way to go, they won't get on 210, they'll go all the way down to 50 perhaps. And then we have the meeting of all the roads and all the traffic. And now we've got to funnel them down through lights which are not properly timed. That is definitely a problem, and the problem definitely starts there. But then you get all the way to the circle and it just crawls. And it crawls for a lot of reasons, volume being the biggest one, but then you get off the island on our side coming down to Topsail Beach. You have that one-way street, people trying to turn, then everything that's happening with them directing traffic. What you have now is on this side, we have people stopping, you know, and so it's backing everything up. And right now, the problem with the light is, and I'm out there a lot and I travel for a living time, is the people waiting at the circle do not go when the light is red because they stop. So there's a lot of issues with circles, to somebody else's point about the circles. But again, theory of constraints. Now we have traffic leaving on Saturday mornings, and I say Friday, Saturday, Sunday are definitely problems. And now we have how many inputs to that circle? Okay, so now we have our side of 50, you have 210 going into the circle on our side. And then what happens when you get to the other side? You have, what is that, Kingston? You have this other one over here, and then you have the 50 coming. That's crazy right there. So we have more volume than our road capacity and command. And I think we do have to start somewhere, but this sounds like a ridiculous amount of money for what it is to me. I think there's probably other options because we need the controls. I think timed lights are the first thing that they should be starting. So the lights going down to the circle need to pause traffic to allow traffic to go over the circle. Instead, it seems like it all stops everybody all the way back up to 17, but that's my piece.
I think there are longer term funding solutions like increased occupancy taxes, other things to get the burden off of us, but the house is on fire now. Figure out something later, get the fire put out.
On this project here. He didn't just start, Surf City didn't just start this 2 weeks. They've been trying to work with DOT for, even last year and even before that, before the last summer. They have pushed and pushed and pushed that those lights on the causeway are not timed correctly. DOT has made some tweaks. Commissioner Thompson, you were in a meeting with DOT when they said, we've made some tweaks. We'll look at it again, but basically they're saying, we think it's right. So I just, this doesn't mean that we're going to stop with DOT. Again, I think to Mr. Sharon's point, we're just trying to come up with something to alleviate what's happening right now. But we're open to suggestions. So we hear there's other options, but what are they? So, this is the time to have conversation about it.
Possibility, I know we have the 30-day clause, so start, it doesn't work, get out. So at the same time, on the percentage basis, what do y'all think about a 2/3, 1/3?
I'm fine with that.
What do you think, Kyle?
Is that what you want me to present?
With, yeah, I mean, with numbers from us,
Sure, absolutely,
population.
absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, is it a fair point? Absolutely. Is it a fair point? Yes. Thing is, we're in this together. So, you know, we can, and I absolutely will go back and we'll try to do some negotiations and some discussions. Ultimately, it is what it is. They're gonna say yes or no.
Well, we can ask, I also think on the same thing on the hours.
Absolutely.
Is there a way to tweak the hours to impact the cost? But at the end of the day, we can't wait for DOT to quote our former mayor. With them, it's gonna be a problem. And we need to address it now.
Good morning. Good morning, people. Here,
Don't say that.
28 Cloud Avenue. Thank you for taking the time to do this, Christina, for the work. You know, I think it's really good for us to pay half of this, because this is a problem Surf City making. From the time of the construction of the bridge, if we had left it like it was, the circles would be big. And we would be moving, but the Surf City people got involved with DOT and shrunk it down. And that caused a problem. They got other problems that they refused to look at. Food line, not food line, but the IGA up there used to be blocked off. It's not blocked off anymore. They've moved that out. Kingston Avenue, there we get people trying to bunch in here. They need to close that road off and let these people go down around and come back. I'm all for us putting money into doing something. The worst thing we can do is sit on our hands and complain about it. The best thing we can do is try something and do something if it's wrong. And I appreciate what you've done. I appreciate this board and what you guys have done and doing. And, you know, let's try something. That's my thing on it.
I'll acknowledge Kingston Avenue's problem during peak hours, as he said.
Coming into the, well, that's,
Agree.
I'll just be honest, that's a big. And I don't let anybody, I'll just like, but no, I did ask that. That to me seems like just such a simple solution, but, you know, we look at it as one perspective, okay? And to their perspective, if they're not coming out there, they're going back and into their downtown area where it's 25-mile-an-hour zones, and you're putting more traffic where their pedestrian, most of their pedestrian traffic is. So while it probably would be great for us, it may not be great for Surf City. And look, I'm not going to pretend to know what happened with the roundabout and all of that. According to DOT, you know, the roundabout was designed many years before it's actually built. That's how slow DOT is. And, you know, when it was designed, it seemed to be adequate. It became not adequate probably before it was even constructed.
Yeah.
They also had the issue of something with the ward property. So there were some property issues that they weren't able to get as well. So, you know, we all know that the roundabout's too small. DOT knows it, Surf City knows it, but right now, that's what we have.
Mainly for discussion, to figure out what's going to happen. And I think let's continue to go back to Kyle and start negotiations.
Yes, I appreciate the comments. I really truly do. And I will go back to Kyle and we'll put our heads together. We'll give them the feedback of what I have. We'll go from there.
Christina, when you speak with Kyle, I would be great to try to get some accurate contacts that are made. Summer, I am happy to speak with him, but I very much want to know the background. We're not writing on an empty slate here, and I don't want to be ambushed by not knowing what I should know.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact you're gonna go back to Cobble. We'll go back to what are we gonna do Saturday? Okay. So you won't vote on this for another month. That's July.
That's what we're gonna have a meeting on the 7th, which next Wednesday.
Thank you. Just think about, what are you gonna do Saturday?
It's also,
Rain this
it's also dealing with.
It's rain.
Yeah. Wondering why it's cheaper. Next year at this time. They'll be working on both bridges, and they're gonna be starting to work on the overpass at Military Cutoff Base. All at the same time.
And those people will come to Topsail.
It's. At that point, you'll be counting your blessings.
Everybody give this a thought. If you put up, see,
Background behind the TI coastal contract and the work plan going forward. Items provided in their contract include quarterly monitoring of the inlets, waterways, biological surveys, and support nourishment and inlet that support the beach nourishment and maintenance projects. It also includes a pre-hurricane beach survey, a contingency fund in case we need to resurvey the beach after a hurricane, and the process of obtaining permits that align with that 30-year beach management plan and overall support for the tidal flooding issues. So that's what's in their contract. And Chris did a really good job of presenting that. And as a BIS team, it was well received. Connie then followed with our financial report, and she presented the BIS portion of our budget. The team discussed it, asked a lot of questions, but then we had a vote and we voted unanimously to support the budget as presented for BIS. So that was one of the charges for us. Over the last week, this changed the subject a little bit. I got a call from a couple of watermen, one that does tours and one that goes in and out the inlet all the time. They were reporting that some of the channel markers were laying on the shoals, and some of the green channel markers were bunched together. Christina helped me contact the U.S. Coast Guard. Apparently, they have a team called the ANT team at Oak Island, and it's assistance to navigation team. Together, we talked with them a couple of times, and then I got a report unverified by one of our watermen today that the buoys were placed where they're supposed to be. So you got to take advantage of a few successes along the way. The other thing that I wanted to note is that legislature is in session. A lot of things are moving quickly. One of the issues that are a top concern is the oyster lease issue. That's been proposed within the House, and it's been through review. It's been passing through the process. And according to our Maynard Nixon, David Farrell, it should be coming out of the House committee next week and handed over to the Senate Rules Committee. So it is progressing.
Fine, what?
This is requesting a 2-year moratorium on additional oyster leases, basically behind Topsail Island. It leaves some of Pender and some of Onslow County open. That's part of the negotiation game, is that you didn't want to shut it off for all watermen, but it is progressing as we've discussed before.
we just have to send it now.
Has it already gone out into the Senate? Because I talked to David this morning, it hadn't yet gone.
Just after that.
Okay, well, you got that. There's news about it.
And Ms. Snyder, am I right, it also in that same bill extends the moratorium for New Hanover 5 years?
That's a question. I don't know if that's, New Hanover wanted to go for 5 years. We were aligned with Carteret County and for us for 2 years. I don't know the detail of whether they're still pushing for 5 years or not. I do know that there will be some resistance in the Senate, and we have to figure out how to work with that. Any questions?
Tell me, Christina, you probably involved with that,
Right.
all of it.
Right now, as of the last board meeting, the board voted to go ahead and sign the contract in order to begin construction. So that has been done. We worked that out through, the attorney to make sure that the language was correct. So that has been signed, and basically all of the permitting, state permitting, DOT driveway permitting, all those types of things are being applied for now. The plans were turned into the town to do the actual, building permits. So, we have a meeting tomorrow morning to kind of go through that and see what we still need as a town in order to issue that permit. And so they're moving along, but they're kind of in the background right now. So there's not a lot of activity out front right now. Beginning construction date is still set around the beginning of September. Pretty much it.
Question?
What's the status of the driveway aprons for the parking lot? Do we have to get that resolved before we can use it?
For the entrance of the public safety building?
No.
No, the,
Parking lot.
the Caterpillar lot.
Oh, I'm sorry, across the street. Yeah, we're still waiting on DOT, for our permit.
Use it until they do.
No, we can use it. And as a matter of fact, because now that the fence is installed and we do have the, bumpers in place and the parking lot is pretty much ready. When DOT gives us our permit, we will have to do some kind of a hardened structure, to the apron as you enter onto the property. But until DOT gives us that, we don't have to we just wait for that. But we are going to begin using the parking lot. Our intention is to start on Friday. We're going to be putting up signs, paid parking signs tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow's Thursday. And begin that on Friday. We're going to use that lot this summer, being the construction was sort of delayed another month or two based on one of the state permits. And go ahead and use that to flex some revenue for parking. And just for the board's knowledge, just for FYI, we've asked, the third-party vendor to keep that revenue separate from the south end revenue and the oceanfront lots, just so we can get an idea of what that does.
Yeah, let's go to item 14, considering budget, on the budget instead of tax rate.
So as you know, budget was presented tonight, and hopefully we've answered all the questions that you have. So in your packet, you'll see the budget ordinance, for this year. And if you approve the budget ordinance, that in fact sets the tax rate. The tax rate is included in the budget ordinance, which is, under section 13, the tax levy. So if you adopt the budget, approve the budget ordinance tonight, that will in fact set the tax rate.
There, we motion one that we explain. Set the tax rate for 6.7 at 0.0265 per $100 valuation, with 0.1487 to the general fund, 0.00684 to the BIS fund, and 0.0094 to the capital improvement fund.
Take that on motion.
Second.
A motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Please, oh, the tax rate's passed. Now we can get the budget.
Can I use the budget ordinance separately to do that?
Mayor, I move to adopt the budget ordinance of the town of Topsail Beach for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026, and ending June 30, 2027, as presented in our package.
Motion second. All in favor?
Yeah, the reason I agree with our, when we discussed that about the fire department, we were talking about 10 or 12, let's say $20,000 on a $5 million budget. So you're talking about what, 0.7%. I thought, like you said, it was needed. That's the reason.
Maybe.
I do just want to point out that, that also adopts the fee schedule for this year, and although there were no changes to the fee schedule for any of the rates except for, the parking, and we just updated that to what the parking rate has been set for this season, with the south end lot being increased to, $7 an hour. That's the only change on the fee schedule.
Now we go with 14. To the town personnel policy, classification and ordinance changes. We did remove one section on that was retiree health insurance that we'd like to discuss further on 17. So,
Yeah, so the other two policies, proposed amendments are for the standby and callback pay. That's really specifically for our water department, public works department. And, a lot of our policies and ordinances were written based on what it looked like at that time that it was written. And this is kind of one of those instances. It talked about being, on standby at a frequency of every 6 weeks because we had 6 people that were on call. So we've just decided in order to update this, just to take that sentence out and just to say that the non-exempt employees that are on call will be paid 8 hours for each time that they're on call. So it's just taking out that frequency level so that if the staff number fluctuates, we don't have to come back and change this policy every time. And then of course, the grade and classification sheet that has that position on there that was reclassified from Public Works to mechanics position. And then I'd like to explain, if you don't mind, the proposed amendments to section 12-42, the volunteer and paid firefighters compensation. This section here it talked about the compensation for our volunteer fire department. We have a tiered system based on your certifications of what your compensation would be as a volunteer firefighter. And that really shouldn't be in our town ordinance. That should be in the budget ordinance that is adopted every year. So we didn't change anything with it. We just removed it from the actual town ordinance and we're putting it into our personnel policy, into our budget ordinance, which is where it belongs. And that's it.
Yeah. Mechanic or be hiring a regular public works, or is that still undecided?
We'll be hiring a mechanic unless there's changes to the budget.
Does this obligate us to hire a mechanic, or does it just make the money available for hire into some position?
Well, that, again, when we propose the budget, we have it in there as a mechanic's position. And so therefore, in order to make that possible, these are all of the documents that would have to be amended to do so.
But I thought the decision was not to hire a mechanic.
Well, I don't think this obligates us to hire a mechanic, but it says that we could at a certain pay rate if we chose to do that.
We are reclassifying one of the public works positions to mechanic position.
That is the budget.
Yes.
That we do.
I thought we took that out.
I don't think we've had a budget meeting since our employee resigned. We had discussions, but we have not had a.
We agreed to promote him, but I think we had a lot of back and forth on him. He was already doing the job. Are we of a size that we can justify having a mechanic, and can we remove cost out of the budget that makes it worthwhile? And it was really, quite frankly, my concern with elevating Scott, who was being the mechanic to mechanic, because then we had that job. So if they quit, then you had to go fill that job and you've got a new employee job. So I don't know why for some reason thought we were just gonna hire a public works.
Does the budget actually specify how many public works employees are required, or does it just make the total amount of money available?
Well, I mean, it's in the salary.
In the salary, right, but it doesn't say that we have to have a mechanic versus must have a public works employee, as long as we don't have too much money spent.
No, it does not necessarily say that, but in the budget for the salary, the salaries that are included in there includes the salary for a mechanic,
If we chose,
which was the direction of the last board for the budget workshop.
I don't think I understood
I did not.
the direction
That needs,
to hire one. It was, we were leaving ourselves the possibility to elevate one of the public works employees to a mechanic's position. But,
Or hire one if
Or
we
hire
could
one,
cost
yeah.
justify it.
yes, you're right.
The question, yeah,
You're right.
So that's what the comment explained last time, that consolidation, that we would save money we needed, you know, because of having to farm stuff out as far as, labor fees and also time, you know, time off the job. And if we had to send a tractor to off the island and it's stay there, you know, for a month because of the backlog of work that needs to be done, then where our guys will sit here not be able to, not be able to do it. And by having a mechanic in here, we can keep all that done, as well as the police department, you know, doing their maintenance on some of their vehicle stuff that we're having to take. Two guys take the car over here, right back. So my understanding was he justified how we were gonna save enough money to justify his position. But I talked to him that time, or when he was in here, that's what I was understanding.
he said he could justify it. I asked specifically through the mayor for the numbers. I never got anything. And nothing was taken out of the budget. Like the same maintenance numbers are still in the budget. And, so to me, even if you can't quantify what it is, don't have, okay, we got somebody doing all the maintenance inside, and the maintenance number is exactly what it was when you didn't have a mechanic. Even if you miss that number, I think it's got to show some savings.
If we have a choice, it's mainly a direction to the staff as to what they hire. We can say not the mechanic, and they hire as a worker.
I think we need to say the budget has got so much money available for labor without saying which positions we will fill on this chart here.
And I agree with that. I agree with that, but I really think we need to, it is your job to hire, but I think our question was, we've never had a mechanic. Just show that the savings justify us creating another position for the town.
I think that during the 4 budget workshops that we had, this was presented at the first one and the second one. There was really no conversation at the third or fourth one regarding the mechanic's position. I believe Tom presented what he thought would be his case and where we would save the money. So I think at this point, if the board doesn't want the mechanic's position in here, then we will remove it from the grade and classification. And well, that's the only change. So truly, I say you just don't approve this and we'll go back to public works position.
I have no problem approving a rate for a mechanic if we were to hire one.
The budget won't change. We won't hire a mechanic if we don't have the position. So I say, if you don't want the position, don't change the grade and classification.
Well, we've already approved the amount of money available for labor.
Yes, I'll tell you the difference in the mechanic's position and the difference between the public works position is $7,000. So we can take $7,000 and, well, we can leave it in salaries if we want, $7,000. Or we can move it out of there if you don't want it in salaries. It won't change the total, it won't change the total budget.
I say,
Making my point forward. We need to find the difference. Agree. You don't have to hire a mechanic.
I agree with him. I think there needs to be a little more discussion
We can have.
when this was done rightfully or wrongfully, we approved someone we knew in that role. Personally, and maybe that's wrong, is I felt like he was already doing the job and we were paying him for what he was already doing. And we were told that's the only way to pay him is create the job class mechanic.
I think that it was said many times that the mechanic's position was not for the person. It was the position that was needed. It was not created for a specific person.
I
So-
agree, that's what it said, but that is not our understanding of how it was going to proceed.
But
We
you're-
were.
No, I understand, I'm
We
with
were led
John
to
on that.
believe that an internal person would be used to fill the mechanic position because he was already doing that kind of work.
Right.
Is that not right?
That is correct, that there would be an internal promotion from a reclassification from an existing member, because that's who we had here. But again, it was, I think we tried to point out the fact that there was a need for this position, period. And even if this particular staff member wasn't here, we would fill a position for mechanic. We would still have that need. But again, honestly, I think the conversation that we've had recently, that could find either way, give us direction, we'll move forward that way.
Let me ask my question a different way. Does the total number of public service employees doing either the lower level job or a mechanic's job change if you don't hire a mechanic? Would you have an additional person at the lower wage rate?
The plan that, the first proposal would be to add the mechanic's position and keep the public works specialist. But then, after another budget workshop or two, we decided that we would reclassify a position from public works technician to mechanic. So
That's the way I was told.
correct. So right now we have one position available. It's either mechanic or public works technician.
And that's fine. And all we're saying is by approving a job classification for a mechanic, we are not saying go hire a mechanic. I personally need more information before I feel the town needs a full-time mechanic.
Nancy and I are saying the same thing.
And I had sent questions that were, and Tom sent an answer saying, here's what they'll do. Where are we gonna save money? And I know we aren't comfortable, he's not comfortable estimating it. I'm not gonna fire him if he misses it. I just wanna know intellectually, we have sufficient savings that it warrants us creating a new job for a mechanic. Because we're small and that's a big step and it may be the right step. I don't have enough information to make a well-informed decision.
Okay.
But we're a keeper person. We just have to figure out.
I'm
very
not sure that we
quickly.
can provide any more information as far as cost justification than what we've already done. So truly, I mean,
We're not looking for additional
It's not
information.
just about
We're
that.
just saying,
And the story.
let's say that we will pay a mechanic at this rate if we hire him. But we don't have to hire a mechanic.
We're creating a job classification. We're not saying we're hiring this person. If they'll either be public works or a mechanic, and that's not tonight's decision, or as Henry said, we'll still be here in the morning.
So it was a blended position, so we're not adding a new employee. We were just adding one that vacant hires that would share the duties of the mechanic worker. So, they had $7,000 to get the mechanic part of it. So we're not adding any new employees, we're just adapting one that has more.
We're adding a job grade.
Yeah, job grade.
No, we're adding a job grade. And I would make a motion, we approve adding this job grade.
Question second.
Post.
Okay. I help you.
I didn't get the justification for it. I don't see it.
It's not hiring the person, it's having a job if you
I
ever.
understand. Yes, disagree. Not upset.
Boundary board, committee appointments.
We need to adopt ordinance and the other
Oh.
personnel policy changes.
Okay.
Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, we all did.
The other, but did you want them to just do the other two policies?
Just, yeah, the one, whatever policies and then the ordinance for the fire department.
Yeah. That, the standby time, we can get a vote on the standby, the amendment to the personnel policy for the standby time.
I make a motion, we approve the amendment to the personnel policy addressing the standby time.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
And then the second vote would be to approve the amendments, proposed amendments to section 12-42 in the town ordinance. This is where we're removing the compensation for volunteer fire.
I'll make a motion that we change the ordinance 2026-004, section 12-42 as printed.
A second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Rochelle, for always keeping us straight.
And we're back to the advisory.
Here we go. So we currently have two different positions, one on the planning board and one on the Parks and Recreation Board. We have been advertising for applications for volunteers to join the committees. And we have received some for planning board and some for Parks and Rec. So if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and start with the planning board. Again, there's one vacancy on here. We've received applications from Mark Danmeyer, Michelle Hollis, Jeanette Pott, Mark Rocket, and Brian Turner. Rochelle is handing out your ballot, so if you can choose one. Second vacancy, that would be on the Parks and Recreation Board. We received applications from Richard Burrell, Mark Danmeyer, Peter Knowles, and V. Walter. We just need you to choose one. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch with you. We appreciate everyone who submitted an application. Appreciate our volunteers on our committee.
And because the noise ordinance.
Sure. So, we've had some public comment. Regarding the noise ordinance for several meetings now. And at last meeting, the board directed staff to work on the noise ordinance. So I actually did speak with Susan to kind of get an idea of where her concerns were with the current ordinance. And I don't want to speak for you, so if there's something you want to say, just let us know. But so basically, I think the main concern was the timing of the ordinance where the decibel level could be louder. And then also the decibel level itself, the maximum decibel level, it was a little too loud overall. So we did some work. I also got some information from Susan, which I do appreciate, and it's in your packet talking about, kind of the comparison of decibels, in the context of amplified music. So it sort of tells you, at what decibel level, what is, background music, what is, pleasant music, what is very loud, punchy music. So kind of using that as a template. In addition to searching some other ordinances, noise ordinances, and kind of where their decibel levels were and their timing as well. I made the following amendments, to the noise ordinance that would basically take Sunday through Thursday's timeline for amplified music to be, amplified. Instead of, 11 PM cutoff time, dropped it down to an hour to 10 PM. Again, that's Sunday through Thursday. For Friday and Saturday, I left the times the same, which would be 7 AM to 11 PM. But dropped the decibel level by 5. And I sort of mimic the same thing for the, residential portion. So if you'll see on the table, it's on page 3 of 8 and 4 of 8 in the, draft amendment. You can see the changes that I'll propose. I will say too, in addition to that, looking into some other things about the noise ordinance, there was some discussion about the base level, and the fact that that frequency level doesn't really show up on the sound meter that we use. I kind of looked at how other areas control that, and really they call it, plainly audible, which means that, you set a certain distance from the music source. You set a certain distance, and basically you stand there. And if you can physically feel the thumping, or you can see maybe pictures rattling or windows rattling, that's how you determine that. So, I did put a section in there in the cover sheet that kind of explains that. So if that's something that you want me to further investigate, I'm happy to do that as well. So really just looking for feedback on your thoughts of our proposal. Again, I don't know if.
On the noise ordinance, it says, if I understand on this, and I talked to the police officer about this as well.
You should probably. Sorry, we want to get it all straight.
The noise ordinance, this is not the noise ordinance, but there's a table and it says residential, and there's a table, it says commercial. And down at the bottom, across, it says no amplified sound after 10:30. And I was asking for clarity because I had not seen that before on the power ordinance that's there. And so I was asking the police officer, after 10:30, no amplified sound. And he said, no, it's just residential, no amplified sound. So if we could put clarity to that, that'd be good.
And you go out and party, but you can't stay home.
I don't want to party on that, so you're talking to the wrong person. Actually, I don't care if they party, I just don't want to participate in the party.
Yeah, I might point out, Christina, the way the chart is, it's residential, but if you separate commercial and then that's a separate, everything, included that residential is what we're talking about.
Two boxes.
With the, yeah, 2 boxes with the amplified sound after 30. We have some stats discussion.
It is, I'll agree with that, and even when Susan asked me, I told her how I would interpret it, and then again, she confirmed that with the police department, but I think it does definitely need to be clarified, so I can do that.
I want to say too, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was a Saturday night, two other people and I were taking someone down Carolina home from Larry's, and we walked out, we had the windows down, we got over by Godwin's, and I went, my gosh, this is what Susan Croom's talking about. So I had the driver pull over. It was thumping. You could feel the thump. And I was beside the old Thompson's restaurant between that and Godwin's. So we went around the corner and we stopped by the putt-putt right at the entrance going in. It was thumping. And it's not the music itself. It is the bass is the same sound that you get when your neighbor's building a new house and they're putting in the pilings. It makes you just want to go over there and kill them. It's that same boom, boom, boom. It's challenging.
Yeah, and because we use it so loud that people putt-putting or screaming at each other, you know, holy crap, you got a hole in one at 10:30 at night. It's not exactly great. Quality of life, I think somebody said that earlier.
Land is just a, given any disadvantage to be able to control it.
We'll enforce whatever wants us to enforce. I don't know that you're gonna notice any appreciable difference with 5 decibels. I don't. As far as I know, the business owners were notified of this meeting, and so I'm curious to know why they didn't show up because. But I'm, again, like Susan said, I'm not the one to ask. I'm in bed by 9 o'clock every night. My feelings will probably not be very popular. But, we're gonna enforce whatever the town decides.
And again, I really, you know, I know that we can potentially vote on this tonight, but I think definitely I'm hoping for more feedback, what you think, if we need to do some investigation. The local business owners were not notified that this was on the agenda tonight, so, I think obviously that would be appropriate to have their response as well.
Sorry.
Principles have we measured from the DJ? So
Well, I don't have, we keep records of our measurements. It's in the office now, but just to give you an idea how many tickets we write, we've written one so far this season in the residential area. I don't know that we wrote any last year. For the decibel. So we're not getting high readings.
So right now, Sam, if it's a heavy bass, thump, can y'all do anything about it?
No, not the way our current ordinance is written.
Now, I read over the ordinance earlier today, and if 2 residents in 2 different homes complain, that's aside from the decibel level. I read the ordinance correctly. But what I read was if 2 residents, like from 2 different homes, complain about noise, that it doesn't reference any noise level. It says that's a disturbance and that we should respond to that. And maybe I'm reading the ordinance incorrectly.
Well, I think it says in the event that noise cannot be measured. So for some reason, our detector is not calibrated or something like that, that we can rely on that. Yeah,
That's right. It's an alternative way
correct.
to determine if it's a nuisance, essentially.
So we don't get very many calls. The officers don't proactively go out until they have a complaint, so.
I don't complain anymore. It's been 7 years, so I don't call them.
Well, the new owners, were receptive to working this out with you?
Great people.
Yeah.
They're great people, but they're here to make money.
Nothing, the issue here, do we want to vote on, discuss it more or? Okay.
I think we have to discuss it more because it doesn't sound like we have a remedy for the problem. And we've got to be smart enough legally or politically, in such a small town, to politely fix this issue. I mean, it's unfortunate that our business districts and our residential districts blend in, but a thumping DJ, a small town like this just doesn't sound correct to me, especially to 11 p.m., even on a Saturday night. I mean, I don't think we're addressing the issue strongly enough.
I think the bass, in my opinion, the bass is what would have made me crazy. And
might
it's
be a real-
separate from the volume. It's, and that's something they should be able, we should have some meat around addressing that.
I can't figure out in my mind why we used to go to the quarter moon and sit out front and listen to great music that didn't sound overly loud or thumpy or bassy or anything else. And on more than one occasion, the musical act was told to tone it down. And I don't think they could ever go past 10 o'clock. So I just still don't understand what's going on in the putt-putt. But I just think it needs more investigation. And it needs a scientific and legal fix.
So I definitely understand to find a way to address the base frequency, and I think I look into that, maybe bring something forth for that. And just curious about your feedback on the decibel level and timing. Currently right now, we still have it remaining till 11 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays. So, kind of just would like to get your feedback on timing and decibel levels that you may want to.
Well, currently it's 11 every day.
Well, yes, currently it's 11 every day, but the proposal changes it to 10 Sunday through Thursday, but leaves it at 11 on Friday and Saturday. So again, I just want to get your thoughts.
But it
on timing
lowers it
by 5.
by 5, which gets it in, out of that intense. But again, I think unless we address the bass, even 75 decibels is gonna be a lot.
And if you look at the sheet that kind of gives you a comparison of amplified music, 75 decibels is considered loud or punchy, bar or club music. 70 decibels would be considered moderately loud or energetic, typically indoor concert or a bar band. So, again, I sort of put this together just for conversation and feedback. So I wanted to make sure I gave you some information that can help you with determining that.
I like these changes. It doesn't address the base, but it makes more sense because we have many people who live in the commercial district. They have it's not like some far off place. It's in the middle of residences. So having them closer together in terms of residential and commercial, I think that makes a lot of sense. In our town, it's just such a small town. We've got people living above businesses or next door.
So am I hearing that you're okay with the proposed decibel level overall and the times, but we want to address the base frequency?
That would be my feeling, but I see Mr. Commissioner Best going.
I just, hey, Larry's doesn't play music until 11, ever. I don't, why do we have an exception for a hip hop DJ, boom, 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 at putt-putt? I don't get it.
I think Quarterman did. I don't know about the, I know what their hours would be.
But this music was 9 o'clock. It's always been 9 o'clock until this started. Quarter moon was 9 o'clock.
Well, it-
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we went home.
The street rolled up at 9.
This is 10.
The music starts at 9 there.
It does.
It didn't, Slammers or Newton there, it goes to 10. So good music goes to 10. If it's not great, I just saying.
All perspective.
Yeah.
Devil goes down to Georgia at 11 o'clock at my house.
I know my mother used to always tell me, nothing good, son, ever happens after 10 o'clock.
It's invited to my house, so I'll happily let you sit in my living room.
I did think come in at 7 o'clock, and again, I hate to keep saying it, but the bass.
Okay, so I'll make an amendment on Friday and Saturday, from 7 to 10 PM as opposed to 11. And then investigate ways that we can, measure and enforce the day free lunch.
Essentially, every day of the week would be 10.
Yes.
We think the same every day.
Well, the decibels are different.
The decibels are different, so we make it nine,
The
there's
times would be the same.
Residential, commercial, every day of the week would be 10. Is that what we're suggesting?
Well, yeah, for residential, the timing is 10:30, so we'll drop that to 10.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Haven't yet. Yes. Thank you, Christine.
Absolutely. So this is an agenda item that was brought up at the last board meeting by commissioners to potential of implementing a special permit for commercial entities to use the town's marina as a pickup and drop off location. But unfortunately, Jamie wasn't able to attend last board meeting, so we were able to have some preliminary discussion, but I've asked Jamie Stallings, the marina manager, to be present for this conversation. She definitely knows what's happening at that marina better than I do. So, yeah, so we'll just begin by, we do have a handful of commercial entities.
Well, I wanted to say, I wanted to do a little bit, I talked with Frank yesterday.
Okay.
And, he kind of suggested it might be helpful if, I explain a little bit about how we work. First of all, I want to say that, thanks for the job. I enjoy my job. Really, I do. And I want to say thank you to, two of my workers, Louis Scott and Tim McGahee. I had to be out of town unexpectedly. And all I had to do was call them and they said, we got you covered. I said, I can't be back. I'm sorry if David anything. And those two guys stepped up. And I just want to say, publicly say thank you to them. First of all, I did listen to the meeting last time and, I was a little bit bothered by some of the things that were said. First of all, we account for every vehicle in that lot when we get to work. And the way we do it is, first of all, we go to the box and get the money out. And we also, if somebody leaves a trailer there and they don't have one of our stickers that they bought, they fill out an envelope, put the money in it, has their tag on it, and then we mark that car off. If they don't have the money or have a tag, we leave them a ticket. A nice reminder to give us the $10 before they leave the lot. A lot of times guys will come in and they say, look, I only had a 20 or I didn't have, change. Anyway, we make account for it. The 8 spots that are down there that are ours for our 14 budget slips, I know all of them, but I came up with letting them, we have a thing that goes on their mirror that lets them know there are absolutely no commercial people down there. These are people who have paid $225 to rent those boat slips out there. There's only 8 of them. That's 14 boat slips. So, I mean, you can do the math. But on these, I did want to say this, these,
Jimmy, if you have a parking spot and a boat slip, it costs more.
no. It's first come, first served. Those 8 spots are first come, first served for people who rented the boat slips. And that's the only people that can park in there. Like commercial fishermen, that it brought up about them, they don't park there. If they do, they don't get one of these from us. We call the police department. They get a big time ticket. It's been years since I've had anybody that did that. Okay, we sell these, and it was starting July 1, we'll do it again. 78% of these go to Topsail Beach residents. When I get there in the morning, a lot of times on a Saturday, there'll be boat and trailer. Every one of them will have one of these on it. People tell me all the time, oh, people put boats in and they don't pay. They don't look and see that they have stickers. Or that, you know, okay, 77, 78% of them are local. 17% of them are, don't have, property here at Topsail Beach. So, and then a small percentage of them are town workers that don't pay for their staff. Okay, we have well, the commercial people right now, we have very few of them. The assumption is that these guys are here every day and they work out of Topsail Beach. I talked to one Monday, we got on excursions. Out of 7 days, he was there one day. He picked up one group of people. Those people were renting property out here at Topsail Beach. He goes wherever they are. In other words, the people he picks up here are renting from here, or they're residents here. Most of he picks up in Hampstead, he picks up in Wrightsville Beach, and he also picks up in Surf City. And that's true with everybody. I work Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. 3 people picked up. And that was it. And what they have to do, every one of our boat slips are rented. For, I think it's the 24th of August. These on the outside are rented. I have contracts over there that show that these people they're already paid for. So as far as commercial people parking in any of these, they do sometimes. They slide in there, but they're not supposed to. The only place they can park is the floater that we have right here, which is public. That's the public access that we have to our ramp. So, and that's the only place they can come in and pick up anybody. And so, yeah, if you were going to do anything commercially out here, it'll have to be done in January. So January 1, we start renting these things. And, you know, like I said, I've got maybe 3 weeks left. It's somewhere in here. Number 14 is not rented. Number 4, I'm sorry, is not rented, but it's very small. And these slips are not created equally. I'd lay here, the only place he could ever go with his gray and white was in number 13. I've got boats. This is the only place I wouldn't want to give these up for anything because I've got boats and they're under 30 foot, which is what we have. But they have the big thing up front that hangs way over, and then the motors sometimes are set off the back. And, it's over 30 foot anyway. We make it work. I got a lady who comes here for 2 weeks from Georgia, and she puts a pontoon boat out there. It's the only place she can get it. Pontoon boats are wider than the rest of the but I'm just saying that, these aren't created equally. But this one, also the fire department uses it for a jet ski. So kind of leave it open for an emergency. We always have them that break down. So, I can give you a list. I also have commercial people, and this guy, he called cruising ends. It's a jet ski thing. He comes in there with 4 jet skis on a trailer. He pays, he's got 4 people sitting on those jet skis. He backs it down in the water and they take off. So it's they don't even touch our docks. But there's, I think it's a little misrepresentation that there's a lot of commercial people coming in there. It's really not that many, but to me, the people who do come in there are the people, are Topsail Beach people. I had one man tell me, he said, I've been here for 20 years and I've never been to Lee Island. It is so nice to get on a boat with my grandchildren, to be able to go over there and stay for 4 hours and let them play and do things that we've heard about. And so and same thing with sunset cruises. Topsail Beach people going out there and getting on a boat with these people. And some people might have to up the game a little bit, to compete. But I just don't. I don't think it's as big a problem as people want to make it. And I've got a list of the people here somewhere. And Also, these guys put their boats in, like Chadwick. He puts his boat in, and then he goes out and fishes, and he comes back, puts the boat back on the trailer. Daniel Lawson does the same thing. About 4 people that's what they do. Daniel Lawson lives here. He's a resident of Topsail Beach. They pay taxes. And so, they're paying, these guys, they're paying $100 fee just because they're not residents. Everybody except Daniel. To get, I'm making them do that. They also, if you're a charter captain, you have to have insurance on your boat. When you come in, you've got a sticker on your boat. They're yellow. But anyway, one guy came in and he was going to pick somebody up. I said, wait a minute, you don't have insurance. And he said, oh yeah, I do. I said, well, I got to have proof. So he brings me proof. I don't know what I'll do with it, but that he has insurance because I think it's only right that if they're going to pick somebody up. But they're not the only ones. We also, and I don't know if y'all are aware that we allow people to come in there from Hampstead or that are coming down the waterway or wherever to stop. I'll find a place for them to park for a minute. They either go over here to Lewis's, or they go to Larry's, or they go get to Corb's, or they go to the beach shop. And they call me and say, any place we can park for, 30 minutes to go get lunch. And we do it. And so there are more of those that come in than there are commercial people. But we try to make it work. I've got some slips that when a guy leaves, I've got one guy that flies everywhere all over the world. I called the other day, he's in South Africa. I said, good, I'm sorry you're in South Africa, but I'm going to use your slip for a couple of hours for a guy. And I did, So if people come by and they say, the boat slips aren't full, I don't care, they're paid for, A lot of people don't use them. And so, anyway, if I have questions about what we're doing, I wish you would come down there. I could show you, everything about it. I can tell you who those cars are. Tim McGahee can tell you. This is his 3rd year that he's worked with me. But I don't know. I'm a little bit bothered when people. It works so well what we're doing, and we work hard down there, and we're good with. We don't need any help. we got it under control, but what we do need is people to support us. We're doing the best we can. Are we going to make another? I don't see how I can charge. I don't see how commercial would work. I just don't. They're already paying to come there. They're already paying to launch a boat. They're on a public ramp, on a public dock. They're not going on our docks, which is the ones we charge for. We don't, and for those of you who don't know, we don't rent to commercial. But if a guy comes in here January 1 and says, hey, Jamie, I want to rent so-and-so, I say, I'm sorry, you're commercial. We used to, and we don't anymore. We used to charge more for it. And there was a problem that the board decided not to do it anymore because of noise and all, and it was jet skis and all. And so I'm just saying, we run that route at one time. So that's up to y'all, but if that decision is going to be made, it needs to be made in January and not here when I've got everything already booked up.
So it sounds like you're performing a balancing act.
That's right.
You're providing a transient dock for people in need. They're coming here to buy things.
Right.
And then you're providing a service by a few commercial people coming to pick up local renters or homeowners to go enjoy
what the rest of us enjoy all the time.
Right. And that we're not being taken advantage of in any way at this time. So.
But I see it, even the fishermen, I agree with you, John, 100%. We're not taking anything away. What we're doing is we're providing service. It's just like, they come out here and drop off golf carts. They come out here and drop off bicycles. They do the same thing. That's what these people are doing. We're providing a service or just a way for them to be picked up. That they don't have to drive to Surf City to get on a boat, the tiki boat or whatever, whichever one.
Does the tiki boat pick up people?
No, ma'am.
And I guess thank you for coming to explain this. I've learned a ton of stuff I didn't know about the marina. I'm seeing a proliferation of what I call tour boats, not a 6-person boat going on a sunset cruise, but a boat with 30 people. You'll go down the end of my pier. The music is loud enough. Susan Croom would comment on it if she heard it. And this year, there have been more and more. I was looking that this might help limit and control that.
They're not coming out of ours.
And it has nothing to do with Marina.
And that's-
And based on what you're saying,
The biggest part coming out of there is the one that, Jacob Lee does with Lee Island Excursion. He'll take maybe 15 people, but they leave. I wouldn't do what this guy does. You rent him in the boat for 4 hours. And the last ones that went out the other day, it was a group of women and their husbands have gone fishing. And so they rent this boat and rent him, and he takes the chairs and goes over to wherever they want to go and sets everything up, and and that's what he does. But he doesn't do anything. I mean, it's actually, if I had 15 friends, I might do it, but I don't have 15 friends.
what do you do?
But anyway, I don't see anybody taking advantage of us. I see them providing service for us. I see it's a balancing act, just like John said. I'm standing out there sometimes and, a guy comes in, a fisherman comes in, I do this, he has to wait. I'm sorry, we're launching boats or whatever. He's gotta wait till everything clears. And then he can come in and let off. And a lot of times, like I say, he may be taking his boat out too, just like everybody else. I mean, it's a balancing act
Do
someday.
you see more of the tour boats going down the sound, or are you like the chief and in bed at 9 o'clock? No, 'cause I've seen you out.
I don't see him at night, no, I should.
No, I mean, at sunset.
I do more, but they don't come out of here. A lot of them are coming out of Surf City. The
And there's
tiki
nothing
boat,
we can do
a
about
tiki
it.
boat, oh no, ma'am. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. My thought is, I probably shouldn't say this, but sorry sitting over there, but I need a paintball gun. Just for-
Periodically, that.
No, so it's what kills me. People, John's got his boat out there, but people flying by there and, they're not, we got these big signs up there that says no way you can, Yes,
I
sir.
understand the answer. This guy has 15 women.
But can't have it anyway.
Topsail recognizes revenue because those women are probably staying
They are staying here.
in rental where we get accommodations tax.
That's exactly.
I thought you were gonna go apply for a job.
Yeah, he.
Obviously, I've done too much work for Nancy.
But yeah, that's money off of it, because I asked the people, "Hey, where y'all staying?" They say, "Oh, actually, we have 2 houses." The last group that went out, one of them that went out, I think it was week before last. He said, "Yeah, we got 2 houses." They had about 12 people, a lot of little kids and all. So yeah, they've been there. They're eating here too, when they come out, he always tells us, "Where y'all gonna eat?" A lot of them like to go live. Anyway. That's about them, but I don't see, I'll do whatever y'all want me to, but I don't know how I would do it, but I'll do it.
So we need to not even discuss this at all, and if we do, discuss it in January.
I agree. And if y'all want to talk to me at any time, I love to talk.
I was privileged to get the Jamie tour, before the last meeting, and, what she's saying is exactly what I saw.
2 hours later.
It was kind of solve a problem.
That doesn't exist, and I think,
Exactly, I agree 100%.
I think you've done a great explanation of that, so.
I think the problem is you got some people that are residents that are having to rent property that use that fishermen and tour. They, tour jobs, they rent places to rent their boats, park their boats, they fish and do that. Which if they didn't, they could go use our place, but they won't do that. Well, I'm just saying that, it's just like we charge our people to go park down at the end, which I think is the craziest thing in the world, because they're paying tax anyway. But your explanation of, it's people are bringing money in. All these people we're charging the parking thing are bringing money down on top of it too. So I'm just saying, that it's a potential income for that thing. But I go fishing every morning, and I see people picking at that pier every single morning.
Exactly. Now, you know, there's some that I can't control, you know, they're not there 24/7.
But what I'm saying is that,
But, you know,
they have a permit to do it, and all they do is they have to have stuff on the sticker on.
well,
We have to each time you do it.
the only other thing, you know, I'm gonna say is, some of these guys have approached me, they want a place, but they want a place just like Tate's got to pay. So I sent them down there to the breezeway. Guess what we were told? We're gonna compete with those guys that are already there, don't come to see us. But anybody who's gonna, any commercial fisherman, anybody, there's no place else. We're gonna put them out of business. We don't let them pick up at our dock. I know.
I mean, well, I think, you know, all I hear from the board is when we start charging is the income.
Oh, I
Bring
agree.
the money in, we started charging parking, bring the
We're
money
already
in.
making money now.
Yeah, well, how are we gonna make money?
Start making money off these people when they start parking up here too. Because these people don't, they can't park at the marina. None of them are parking down there. So they come up here and parking around the water tower. So they're gonna go into that parking lot up there that you're gonna charge for. Got it?
Thanks, Mayor.
Eighteen, discuss, Topsail Nature Preserve, Memorandum of Understanding. Give you.
Either one.
Several meetings with the state, trying to work this out. Of course, it is under DEQ, but it's operated by a little different branch. And, they've been really helpful, trying to get us in place to, do a lot of the things that Michelle brought up, the signage, the dogs, things of that nature. And so they're working real hard at it, and a lot of the stuff they're doing under state guidelines. And so we're supportive of it, but we can't, sometimes might not match their signs. But I think we're working that out. I think we're really getting to that point. It's a great relationship. We did kind of stumble on one, we thought we could do all this under a conservation overlay district, in which all fine and good, we could put all the restrictions in that district. It would apply to that property. However, to put one overlay district on state-owned property, it has to go to the council of state. So, I didn't think that was gonna happen. It would happen. I think it would support, but they'd probably shy away from it. So now we've got a situation where we can rewrite part of our ordinance and add an article of ordinance that would address all the particulars that state wants on that property, and let it conform with our zoning ordinance. So we're at that point now. I think that's something we're working on, develop with the formal, memorandum of agreement, and also the zoning code that will come to us in July. So we're getting real close. And the item of dog leashes, I think we'll have to comply. And, the National Heritage has, put forth some restrictions, and they call the shots. And it's their land, and, they have all the control. The other is, driving on the beach will be prohibited. And we probably have to add that into our zoning, for that property. And we are doing a lot of this because some of the criteria of the agreement from the states would, we need to pull out our, parking lot, because some of the things that they don't allow, we would have to do with the parking lot. So one of the, they would not approve one on their particular. So even though we own it, if it's still covered under that section, we wouldn't be able to build or approve restroom there. So we're working those out. So next month we'll have more information.
I think one thing Michelle raised that I thought was in here, because I've seen several iterations, was people were prohibited from going into the interior and the dunes, and that there was a fine. And that's something, my understanding is that is a hard prohibition, and we need to make sure that is in there. And the other thing is, is it conforming with our leash law where the dog has to be on a leash and other times under police control, or is it always on a leash?
It's always on leash, and so that's, something that we'll have to make clear. For the preserve, they have to be on a leash 365 days a year. So the way that we'll be writing the ordinance, it'll be an ordinance, the way that we'll be writing the ordinance is, they always have to be on a leash at the preserve, but the rest of the town will remain, we're proposing. to
And
remain
that's the underlying entity's requirement that the biggest open space we have, the dog has to be on a leash the whole time.
That is what the state preserve regulations require.
That's always the preserve.
Only at the preserve, that's correct.
Yeah, they pull everything out.
Yes. Most of the regulations are ordinance already addresses. Now, there might need to be some tweaks to it because, for instance, you know, they, no beach equipment can be left on the public trust area, which we have a beach equipment ordinance, but in our beach equipment ordinance, it exempts non-motorized things like catamarans, small catamarans, sailboats and things like that. It exempts those, so, but they can't be left on the preserve at all. So there'll be some tweaks that'll be need to be made to, the ordinance. Specific to,
Overnight
yes.
or not?
Have who's ever left them down there overnight? I thought that was crazy when they first brought it up.
Well,
You leave your kayak anywhere overnight and you won't see it the next day.
well, you know, it's interesting. I do remember the beach equipment ordinance, putting it in place when it came in place, I don't know, 12 years ago. And there was, there was one gentleman that always brought his little sailboat up and left it on, you know, on the beach by his walkway. And so it literally, we exempted it pretty much for that reason. So, but again, and you know, no hunting. Well, we don't, allow discharging firearm, but we don't specifically say no hunting. So I guess, you know, technically like bow hunting or something. So again, a lot of our ordinances mirror, but we may have to do some tweaking, but the main one is the dog leash and is also the driving on the beach. I think those are the two that we want to really drive.
Christina, did I hear you correctly saying 365 days a year, they have to be on leash?
So that'll be an ordinance change for us.
Christina, this may be a good time to talk about the horse rules, because I think I sent you some ideas on how that could be improved, but I don't know how, if it would impact the MOU at all.
Well,
I think they do a flock, to allow horses.
they do, in accordance with what we, they do allow horses that apply with the current ordinance that we have now. So the horse ordinance, it does not have to be amended for this MOU.
Right.
Now, we have already agreed that we'll have discussion about horses on the beach at a later date.
We have to move.
That's right. Let's get past budget.
Yes.
But truly, yeah, I think that really, if there's anything in the MOU language that you have questions about, or, you know, if it's not tonight, certainly let me know, because we'll be working on this for this week to hopefully bring the final draft to you in July, along with the proposed text amendment.
On to, 19, discuss, consider and vote on text amendment, for planning board.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the text amendment to 16:10 for planning board. What we want to have the discussion.
All in favor? Attorney reports. Mr. Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, matters. Regarding animal control and certain beach access. For capacity land use matters. All's well.
have a report, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but, I do want to just remind the board that we would like to set the date for a special meeting. Or a special meeting tonight, if we can.
Regular meeting or a closed session?
Special meeting.
Sure, we can put it on the agenda at a later date. I was just trying to get consensus that we could have a date and time.
I join that recommendation.
17th, at the rainfall.
Yes,
That'd be Wednesday.
that's our proposal, if that works.
Thank you, 17th, thank you, call.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Just a question really, because I'm not sure. Will there be any signs that say no trespassing on the dunes and the fine of $500 applied? So you do expect to see that on the preserve?
Yes, we did talk about that earlier with the state. State has signs they would complement ours if we wanted to put them up. So they're attentive to it. Just,
Okay.
it's a timing issue right now.
But they aren't gonna be peppering the whole property.
No,
It'll be few discrete signs.
Do you think they'll be located
Both sides.
on both sides?
Yeah,
and
it
down
will,
on the
but-
preserve? Because some of our biggest dunes are at the end of the
Yeah,
preserve. So,
They will be in the right places, but they aren't gonna be every 20 feet.
yeah, we weren't suggesting any every 20 feet, so just,
We will discuss, the reporting of a violation. So if you have, any of the people that are walking, and they discover somebody camping at the dune or something like that, our enforcement will be available to work through the, police department, as well as, we haven't worked out how the logistics is gonna be. Does the state calls Sam, or do we call Sam, or does the state call us? We're working that out.
well, and just maybe one thing to think about is if you work it out with the state as a simplified direction, right? Because now we call the coastal land trust calls the division. Sometimes the beach stewards will call the police. So it's like, it's some maybe clarification of who to call, who, when.
If it's a violation, they'll go directly to Sam.
Yeah.
Okay,
We have the enforcement capabilities. Of it.
okay.
The other would be, if the land trust has no.
They have nothing, yeah, no responsibilities in the future, so we understand it'll just be to DCM or to the town.
I think everybody's on the same direction, just,
Yeah, we'll get there, it sounds like.
Especially after 9 PM.
And it'll be quiet then too.
Yeah. That's fine.
As you know, I only come when I need something. And the last time I was here, I asked for the gate on the parking lot. Thanks to Sam and thanks to you, we have the gate that closes at 10 o'clock at night and opens at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's a big difference. The cars still come down, the loud ones go down, and then they come louder coming back up. The only thing that I need, and all 7 of us that were here that live on Shoreline Drive, by the way, I'm Dorothy Trapp. I live at 2108 Shoreline Drive, where I've been since 1983. We need 15 miles an hour on our street. We need it coming down Godwin. We need it on Inlet, and we need it on Shoreline. Because it really gets dangerous on the weekends.
We're tired of jumping from the edges of the driveways and our lawns, really. I mean, it's bad.
It's bad. If any of you came down on Saturday and saw, I mean, this is a beach community. Come on, this is a beach community. This is North Carolina. People come to the beach. If you came down and saw what was going on the beach going down, what was going on in the parking lot, and yes, our police force does the very best they possibly can, but you can't stop an awful lot of that that's going on. I mean, I walk slower now than I ever did, but now trying to walk my new, very aggressive, trying to be trained dog. Last weekend, I was like my sister-in-law. I had to jump with the dog off the side because the man in the truck that had 10 people in this truck and all, he came around so close to me. I figured he wasn't going to hit me. He just wanted to terrorize me. And then when I did go down later on, when I take the golf cart, which is also part of my training my dog, since in my job I use a golf cart. When I went through there, he came out of his truck and came over and glared at me. Now, this is someone, yes, the people that are in his truck are maybe paying $5 a piece for the parking all day. It's getting a little more than maybe any of us can really tolerate. And we try to be calm and quiet about it. It's getting, so we don't want to be calm and quiet about it anymore.
It's getting to where we're wanting to sell a house. It's ugly. It's ugly.
What can you do about it?
Well,
Get with our police force. This is not DOT. It's our streets. We need 15 miles an hour. Godwin, Inlet, and Shoreline, we need 15 miles an hour.
Sam, what would be the process for doing it? Talking to the city.
Our street, so we can do it. I don't know if maybe we might need an ordinance, or adopt a resolution from this board, with the direction. But if that's something I can definitely look into.
You're talking about speed bumps at one time, but there's a reason why we couldn't do it. I think about.
It's the speed bumps are gonna create more of a noise than they solve.
And problems with golf carts.
Yeah, they're,
Bicycles.
some people are gonna go over and crank it out, get to the next one. That would help a little bit. I live in, what you're going through.
You get them before we do.
There seems to be a consideration for lowering speed limit.
okay.
Need to consider.
That are usually nonprofits, that work in nonprofits that couldn't afford a really nice vacation. She lets them use her house. Very nice people, no problem. But over the last month, two of those people, one of them was a family, and the other one were two women who were harassed by somebody in a pickup truck down at the South Parkland. And I talked to, Sam was gone, but I talked to one of the folks about it, one of his police officers, and they said, he told me that they weren't having too many, not a lot of that's reported, but I was kind of surprised when you said that.
Yeah.
Because this has happened twice in the last month.
If we can ever control that.
No, I'm not saying that something needs to be done. I'm just saying maybe be aware that maybe there is somebody down there that needs to be,
That's what people come.
And keep in mind, we can lower the speed limit to 15. There's still gonna be somebody who does 35 and we're not gonna catch them.
Yeah.
We can't camp on that street. People break the law. I don't know when the last time you guys were on I-40.
Like when I go to home.
And we're doing the best we can, and that's all I can promise.
Just being aware that our neighborhood needs the speed limit lowered. We did have a petition out some years ago, maybe time passes, but to get, the sleeping policeman on the street. But I don't think that ever was anything that was going to slow very much. I mean, Serenity Point has that. Point also has its own speed limit. But those three streets, and yes, as Alex says, going around, going up, we need that speed limit lowered.
Yeah, ours is the entrance to the beach. That's where they're going.
To the beach. And this now is going to be state controlled. It's the entrance to the state beach as well. So we need it, we need some serious consideration as far as that. Not to make it any worse for Sam, but that's why I'm asking. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll take it into consideration, try to do the best we can here.
Okay.
On which meeting we'll put it on. Next time.
Going away,
No.
sir.
Good.
This one is not going away.
Thank you so much. Any other?
So we did discuss and we followed through with a gate, which I think we've seen is the right thing to do. Is it going too far to think about a couple of video cameras down there to see what's going on? Post it.
What you're saying? It was, there's a warning dog.
Video cameras in the lot itself.
Be a great idea.
Just to, oh, posted, so you're going down that road, you know you're being watched.
Look and see what's available. So we do have 2 block safety cameras, but it sounds like what you're wanting is live footage as opposed to pictures.
Somebody's gotta sit there and watch them.
Gonna have, the signal will have to be broadcast to the police department. That's where the expense comes from.
And we did, Tom, look into
Yeah,
that.
we looked into
Figure out a way to.
They sell cameras, obviously the solar powered cameras that you see in the Surf City, like they had them for a little while, in the roundabouts, and one that can be there for long, but they're prohibitively expensive. They're about $50,000 a piece. I guess I'm not sure what cameras are gonna give us.
Deterrence. Deterrence, in other words, it's posted, I mean, I was concerned about the intimidating behavior.
Without too many words here, inside the Country Club of Landfall in Wellington, North Carolina, 2,000 homes. Security, police, the board, everybody got fed up. And they finally put speed cameras up. They hide them all throughout the property, and it's just magically fixed the problem. Everybody slows down because they don't know when and where they're being watched and at what speed. So compliance just like happened overnight. So it's kind of an interesting psychological thing.
So you wanna go buy one for us, because we don't have any money.
Yeah.
Next year.
I'll tell you, I went to walk a dog at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and saw something I sure didn't want to see at the end of Godwin, right across from where we were at the house the other day. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. It was very eye-opening. Up on the car.
You see that on many streets down
Thank
here.
you so much, because I sure didn't want to see that. And, you know, I mean, maybe if somebody had a camera out there, maybe they would go get a motel or something, but, you know.
They're just pigs out here sometimes.
No, they're all.
Let's take a look at it and see what we can come up with.
Any deterrent would be appreciated.
Understand. Additional comments? Mayor and Commissioners report. Don, you want to start?
We said it all.
Put it down there, Alex.
Just to remind everybody, if you're interested, the Historical Society has their bingo on Thursday nights in the summer. Come join us. It's a load of fun. There's cash prizes. You might actually see me there doing something productive other than sitting around. So, come and join us. It's a lot of fun, even if you don't win. Thursday nights, 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Sam, you're not gonna make it by 9 o'clock. I'm so sorry, but,
Yeah.
I have nothing to say. Thank y'all that came. Appreciate everybody that applied for committees. We didn't get on, keep flying, there's everything probably.
No, thanks.
A lot of it night, time to go.
I do too. I make a motion.
Started summer and I bet we've all started doing this. It's Friday coming in, so be patient with one another and, let's have a, good fun. Need a motion?